Today I'm on the way to North Carolina because I'm going on a boys trip. I'm one of those very fortunate 30-somethings that actually keeps in contact with his friends. The boys all voted and we decided to go to Asheville. Now I'm throwing this out there. Whenever I have the chance to add video games to my trip, I always do. But none of my guy friends are super into collecting video games, so I decided to tack this on to the beginning of my trip before everybody got there. I'm starting in Raleigh and I'm driving all the way to Asheville. Now the first video game store I went to was Limited Run Games. I did an entire interview there and I made an entire episode just about this store, so please check that out if you want to see it. One of my favorite parts about a road trip is going into gas stations along the way and drinking way too much soda. But you're not here to hear about my unhealthy soda drinking habits. No, you're here for the next video game store. Now the name of this store is Lost Ark, and I've been wanting to go to this store for a very long time. Let's get into it. Now before we even go into the store, let's talk about something that's very important. And the name of that thing is branding. Lost Ark Video Games, like everybody else, has a very simple logo, but what they've been able to do is extend the world of their branding beyond just a typeface and a logo, and that is via their love of otaku culture. In Japan, it's very common for everything to have a mascot. Super Potato has a potato, Tokyo Tower has this anime girl amongst a number of other mascots, this vending machine has a dog, and the island of Okinawa has shisha, which are kind of like Chinese lion dogs. I even have a mascot. It's a Gamosaur. Having a mascot allows you to solve for Virgil Abloh's candle problem. If you put the candle in a garage, it's a piece of garbage. If you put the candle in a gallery, it's a piece of art. Having a mascot allows the store owner to build a world in which fun takes place. The video games are the candle. The store and branding in which the video games reside is very important. Video games are highly emotional and nostalgic, so this plays very well into that whole concept. By the way, if you like their branding and mascot, you should definitely check out the artist that makes these things because he is super good at what he does. This store is going to start on a high note. Looking right back at me are my favorite characters from my favorite video game. And right as I enter the store, a blockbuster Pokemon Snap kiosk. Now listen, I could talk for days about how much I love Earthbound, but this store is just covered in Earthbound related things. I love it. Some of this nostalgia might be coming from me just coming back from Japan, but they have so many good drinks here. Now there's a Limited Run Games down the road, so that's the reason I didn't pick this up. I've been looking for Blasphemous for a while. I've never been the type of person to be super into beat art, but they've picked so many cool things to make into beat art. I first heard about Lost Ark on Twitter, and to be completely honest, half the reason I came here was to get art prints. And on that front, they really delivered. I'm picking up this one because I'm a big fan of gig and event posters. They had a pretty extensive selection of Game Boy games. Most video game stores I go to lean into imports to a certain extent. But what I really appreciated about this store is they had a lot of imports that I don't even see in Japan. Recently I picked up a ton of PC Engine games, but it's just really cool to see all these PC Engine games here. Now what comes along with an extensive selection is a slightly higher price tag, but at the end of the day you rarely see things like this and you rarely see them in this good of condition. So I do understand why the prices are just a little bit higher than usual. I've personally never seen bootlegs of TurboGrafx-16 games, but it makes sense. Like Magical Chase right here is a $10,000 game, and I've always wanted to play it, so I'm just going to pick it up here. These are the types of items that really make this store stand out. A lot of places have Gunpla, but this has these little stands that you can put the, Gundams on. It's cool. In general, they've got tons of different little items that kind of reinforce their otaku culture theme that they've got going on here. It low-key feels like you've got a tiny bit of Akihabara just right here in the middle of North Carolina. Another thing I kind of noticed while I was here is that this store has a general sense of community. There was a lot of people coming in and out that were just very friendly with the staff, and the staff themselves were actually really friendly people as well. Depending on the game you were looking for, it was possible to find a deal here. But again, I think the more impressive thing is the amount of inventory they have that is extremely curated and very neat. And I haven't even started talking about their arcade. They have so many things here that are rare for Japan, let alone America, and some things that you normally don't see anywhere in the US. US. Like many other arcades, they also have some multicades, but one thing that I think is distinctly interesting is that they've taken the marquees and put their own branding on them. It's these little details that bring you into the world of their brand. Well, on my way out, I'm gonna pick up one of these Boss coffees because they're delicious. I didn't know what to expect when I went into Lost Ark Games, but I gotta say, it was a terrific store. If you're ever in this area or going to limited run games, you should make this an extra stop on your trip. The main thing I ended up picking up was this TurboGrafx 16 game. It's super neat and I really like the case. Now this next store I stopped by because it's on the way to Asheville and I literally Googled video game store when I was on the way there. The name of the store is Retroid Games. Now I'm going to start off by saying this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this store, but I had just came from two world-class stores. So this is a very decent store. If I were to compare it to any other run-of-the-mill video game store, I'd say, hey, that's a really good store where you can get some good stuff. In general, this store highlighted something about North Carolina that you could see throughout the other stores as well. North Carolina has a lot of Japanese import video games, and overall they had a decent selection. Some of the stuff was a little bit more pricey, some of the stuff was a little cheaper. I keep looking at Splinter Cell because apparently there's a whole bunch of variants of this game. Neither of these were that variant. I love Pokemon, but I don't know if I'll ever get it CIB. I have one of these for Game Boy Color and it's super neat. I should have picked this one up. I actually don't have Killzone 2 and 3, so I'm gonna pick both of these up. They're really cheap. Fun fact, Killzone 1 is on the PS3, but you have to get it in the collection version of this game. This is just a really cool cover for an NES game. I really didn't think this reboot was too bad, and one time I met the Yellow Ranger. She was really nice. One thing of note, they had an enormous NES collection that was turned in, so they had quite a few games that were complete in box here. And I'm not sure what it is about NES games that are complete in box, but I just really love the look of them. Cardboard is very expensive, but maybe one day I'll go for a complete in box NES set. It's really nice to find GameCube games. They had a very decent selection here. It's becoming easier to find GameCube games out in the wild. Now on their own, I might not buy any of these games sealed, but in this 6-pack, $30, I kinda wanted to get it. You know, I like Disney, but if I really like Disney, I might be the type of person that would collect all the Disney Infinity characters. I really think the PlayStation had so many good RPGs, but I just don't have 100 hours nowadays. And hey look, Donkey Kong Math. It's actually a pretty expensive game. A decent little video game store in the middle of nowhere. Worth checking out. I ended up picking up these two games mainly because I've been looking for more PS3 games. I've got to pick up the first one at some point, but I think it's on PlayStation 2. And well, it looks like we've made it to Asheville. It's time to enjoy my time with my friends. My first stop is this mall, mainly because I had to drop off the car because I only needed the car to drive from Raleigh back to the Airbnb I was staying at. And here's a bit of a pro tip. Asheville is terrible for Ubers. This mall had like this little art exhibit made by a bunch of high schoolers, and I'm not gonna lie, I was actually kind of impressed by all the stuff that they had made. So if you're in the Asheville area and you want to look at art made by high schoolers, I highly recommend looking at all the cool stuff that these kids made. It's refreshing to see how kids still like Nightmare Before Christmas. All in, I waited for my Uber for a half an hour and killed a lot of time doing it. The rest of the boys' trip went swimmingly well. Me and my buddy got a tattoo, and we did a number of other things. But this is a video game channel, so I'll save those stories for the shorts. Thanks for watching, have a great day.